Hello, YouTube. This is Dark Tower Palaver. Welcome to our second YouTube exclusive content. And we basically, we'll introduce ourselves first. My name's Tad.
I'm Peter.
And we're a Dark Tower podcast, and this is our newest foray is doing things straight for YouTube directly. And with the second one, the first one we did was a Firestarter reaction video, which is fun, especially
For the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, for the trailer, the Firestarter reaction to the first trailer for the new movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, we actually on our podcast in 2019 we did a March Madness bracket for most hated character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we started with the negative, and then this year we decided to finally come back around to it and declare our most beloved character. In the Dark Tower series. So what we did is over the last week, people have been voting on round one. So this is basically recap videos. So we're going to kind of come in at the end of every round and kind of recap the previous round and then unveil the bracket for the next round. And then at the end of March, the very last day of March, we will reveal our most beloved Dark Tower character. So let's go ahead and transition on over to this view of our brackets, and don't mind the fact that it looks like we're on the brackets here. That we just had to move it around so that we're at the very bottom of the corners of the screen, but that blocks bracket stuff. So this is what we looked like for round one. What we did is for our nominations is we gave everyone a good part of a month to go through and nominate people, and then what we did is we took the top 16 people that had the most nominations, because there were some that only got onesies, so we weeded out those ones and got down to the ones that got the most votes, 16 wise, made those our starters here, and then the ones that were the biggest ones we put in the four corners: Cuthbert, Oy, Eddie Dean, and Susan Delgado. And then we just, outside of that, we mostly randomized it to allow the matchups. We knew that would end up with some unfortunate matchups in round one, and that certainly did. I heard people complaining a lot about Susanna Dean versus Susan Delgado. Was complained about quite a bit. I did see someone tweeted at us recently and said that Roland versus Father Callahan is unfair in the first round. They're in general. I mean, there's some that felt bad for characters like Aunt Talitha, which she is pretty beloved by people. But going up against Jake Chambers, that's tough in round one. And then Irene Tassenbaum is probably the most unfortunate. She did get a lot of love in our nominations. And over the course of our podcast, we had a lot of people that have talked pretty kindly about her and love her as a character. But unfortunately, luck of the draw, she went up against probably the leader that we assume was the favorite. I don't know enough about basketball to know who that is in the actual March Madness, like who's like the buzzsaw that people just don't want to match up against. But ultimately we assumed when we first broached this subject of potentially doing the most beloved, we were like, Oy is certainly going to be the heaviest hitter. So
Oy is a very loved little Billy Bumbler.
Oh, he is.
He is a great character, unlike I know he's one of your most hated. So.
Oh yeah, right. So that's kind of how this is how it all lined up, and we've been voting now for a little over a week, I believe. And so if you guys want to vote, if you're finding this for the first time, check out the link in the description that will go to our website. And on our website, we have a post. I'll have a new post pretty much about the time that this video is posted for round two.
What's our website?
You can go in there. It's darktowerpalaver.com.
There you go.
But I'll have it in the description as well to click on. And then, basically go there, click on it, and vote. It'll be a Google form, but I have it set up so where you don't have to have an account. So if you're not in the Google
arena,
you can definitely still vote. Check that out to go ahead and vote for round two. But let's go ahead and recap round one. Well, before that, though, any predictions from your perspective?
Oy wins. That's a given. That's my easy prediction.
I was gonna say that's like the one guy that said like whichever team scores the most points is gonna win the game.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's my easy one. I imagine there
any upsets. And I can't say anything because I've been watching the tallies as it's gone. I will say there was one that up until yesterday was basically a 50-50 tie. There was only one single vote was the difference. I did throw out one more challenge for people to have their last chance to vote, and that one did kind of separate a bit, so it didn't end as tight. But if some of these got fairly tight as time went by. There are even some upsets early on that didn't really pan out long term.
Yeah.
But like early in the voting, I was like, oh my God, man, some of these I couldn't believe. And there was even some upsets that I think actually held through. You can see if I'm correct as you see these unveil. But what do you think? Any other predictions?
I'm honestly terrified that Eddie's going to lose to Ted Brodigan.
It's because you're reading Hearts and Atlantis right now, so you're actually.
I am reading Hearts and Atlantis in preparation for our hangout in a couple weeks for our Patreon.
Patreon, yeah.
We're going to do a deep dive into Hearts and Atlantis, and this is my first time through it, and I understand Ted now.
Yeah,
more so.
Probably appreciate him a lot more.
Yeah, appreciate him a lot more than just what we get in Book 7.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't care for the character that much in Book 7.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't know enough about him.
You don't know enough about him to understand a lot of the stuff and everything. So,
yeah.
Deeper appreciation for him. And honestly, reading Hearts and Atlantis makes me fearful that Eddie's going to go in the first round. And I'll tell you right now, if Eddie goes in the first round, I'll never hear the end of it from you.
That's true.
I will never live that down. I know that Randall Flagg's going to win in the first round. That's my bold prediction, is that Randall Flagg's going to win.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be close because I know there's people out there who voted for Randall just to spite me. I should have just kept my mouth shut. I was telling you this a couple days ago.
It's not spite, man. Randall is a beloved character. He is.
There's no way that there's not at least one person out there who went Flag. Take that, Peter.
See, you're just undercutting the actual legitimacy of all of us Flag lovers here.
No, it's the truth. It's to hurt me. That's what you do. That's what you've always done.
I do enjoy hurting you.
That's true.
But my love for Flag is aside from that. So, all right.
I think the closest is obviously going to be Susan versus Susanna.
Okay.
Man, if you made me pick that one, I think Susan Delgado's going to take it.
Okay.
There's my prediction of the closest matchup from round one. As I think Susan's going to take it.
So now we're going to go through each of these matchups one by one and look at the results. The one thing I want to say is I'm not going to go in order here. In terms of, I'm not going to start with Cuthbert and Shimmy and then down to Moses and Randall and on and on. What I did is I went to go with basically the blowout wins. I'm going to start with those first and work our way down to the tightest victories.
The buzzer beaters.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and dive into it real quick. I'm going to change our cameras up here so we're back down at the bottom, and then move on over to. I guess you can't really see the screen, so that's.
It's all going to be surprise for me. So I'm not even going to know which ones until you say it.
Okay. So the first one here, as it pulls up on the screen, no surprises. Oi, the Brave.
It's the biggest blowout.
Beat Irene Tassenbaum 92% to 7%. 7.9. So
I was going to say
92,
I'm bad at math, but
92.1 to 7.9.
Okay.
So it was a blowout. And honestly, for the first 4 or 5 days, Irene had no votes.
It was 100%.
It was 100%. It was 100% Oi. So she did end up pulling it out and getting some some votes here.
Yeah.
And she deserves it. She's
a great character.
She's a great character.
The fact that you're in the bracket at all just shows that you're one of the 16 best characters according to us and the fans
and our listeners.
And our listeners.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the ultimate thing is, there was a number of cuts. I don't know if we had double our 16 to start, but there was certainly at least 6 to 8 characters, if I remember right, that were nominated that didn't make the cut. So yes, these are the cream of the crop characters. If they're on here, they are top 16
exactly
most beloved as with our unscientific method here. So this one did scare me for a bit that it would just be 100%, which again that wouldn't surprise me.
No.
But eventually Irene did get some votes, so she's got basically we'll call it 8%. We'll round up and give her that 0.1% to call her 8% versus Oi's 92. So,
good Lord.
That was a buzzsaw. That one's tough. Next up, equal, and this is a little bit less of a blowout, but it's still a pretty hearty blowout. And this one is Jake Chambers beating Aunt Talitha 90.5% to Aunt Talitha's 9.5%. So 90% victory for Jake. He pretty much stomped Aunt Talitha, which again, it's kind of one of those ones when we did the randomizing, we were kind of, I was bummed in some cases because there's just certain characters that are so good and it just sucks because they have to run into a buzzsaw, and Jake Chambers is going to be, I've heard of all these characters, he's one that is probably in the top echelon of characters that we've heard on our podcast. People say is their favorite character in the whole series.
Didn't get the votes to be a number 1 seed to be in the 4 corners, though.
Barely missed it.
Which was shocking.
Yeah.
He was off by like 1 or 2 votes, right?
Yeah.
So he just barely missed it, so that puts him in the middle, and that's where he runs into Aunt Talitha.
Yeah. So, that one is a little bit of and that one is actually, I believe, another one of the ones. There was a few of them there for the first, 4 days or so were 100% votes, and I think Jake was 100% as well. But Aunt Talitha ended up getting some votes, which is good, because I do love her. We're actually we're at her right now in our book club series.
In
our book club series where we're going through basically, kind of line by line and going through nitty gritty of it all.
Yeah.
Right now, we're basically in River Crossing.
Yeah,
so,
the deep dive. They just finished dinner. They're actually having coffee.
Yeah. So we're very familiar with her at the moment right now. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the next one, which is the next most blowout, and it is your boy Eddie Dean.
Oh. Woo, Eddie!
88.9 to Ted Brodigan's 11.1.
Ooh,
this is another one. This was 100% there for those first 4 or so days. Yeah, Eddie was just absolutely stomping.
You can
Ted.
see my worry, because a lot of people love Ted.
A
lot of people love Hearts in Atlantis.
I think it comes down to if you've read Hearts in Atlantis. If you haven't, you probably don't love him as much. But if you've read it, I think you definitely appreciate him a lot more. He's a great character.
Yeah.
So Ted, and then the other thing I guess I missed is on the ballots I did put in some cases dream castings.
Oh, that's true.
So like Eddie Dean was Aaron Paul. Ted Brodigan I did think I put Anthony Hopkins on there. So so this is the next biggest blowout. Next up though, results wise, is Roland Deschain beating Father Callahan.
Yep.
87% to basically 13%. I'm trying to. I should just round these percentages, but so Roland at 87%. So I don't think Callahan got as many votes early on either. Those did come a little bit later. I think those 3 were the ones like early on. I was like, dude, these are 100% votes.
Is this going to be 100% for all 3 of these?
Exactly. I figured that Oi was the only one that I legitimately thought might actually get 100% of the votes.
Yeah.
But no, overall, all 3 of these ended up losing it. So, Roland is moving on to the next round, beating Father Callahan. This is the one that I was most bummed about when it came down to matchups, because I really love Father Callahan. I think his telling of his story is one of my favorite elements of the book. Easily, it's my favorite part of Book 5, and I love Book 5. But Father Callahan telling his whole backstory and stuff is absolutely incredible. So I've always loved him as a character. I love his personality and stuff as well. So I was kind of bummed to see him run up against Roland, because I'm like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that is that one. Next up, we've got actually the one this will be the first shocker for you. The Susanna matchup.
Really? It's not that close.
Was a blowout. Any predictions there? You earlier said
I still stick with, I think it's going to be Susan
Delgado. Yeah. It is actually Susanna Dean.
Damn, really?
Was 76% of the vote.
That's the first one that I did not vote for the winning one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's the first one. I prefer Susan over Susanna.
I thought this one was going to be neck and neck. I really did. And early on, it was just the doors went off, and like the whole time I'm like, well, they're like those 100% ones when things started to like level and some votes went there. I thought maybe this one would get more competitive. It just never did.
Wow.
Susanna absolutely trounced Susan.
So wait, so we got the original quartet, the 4 quartet, against each other in round 2. We got Jake versus Eddie and Susanna versus Roland.
We'll be getting there.
Oh,
covering
boy.
this. So that's the first surprise for you. Next up, the next most tight one. This is the one that scared me. Randall Flagg.
Oh man.
Beat Moses Carver 67% to 33%. But in those early days, those first 3 or 4 days, Moses was kicking Randall's ass, dude. It was very troubling to me. And again, I love Moses Carver. He's one of my favorite. Yeah. Like when we made up that question on our introduction for new listeners, we ask about who your favorite characters are at each level, and we have like we didn't call them insignificant, but basically background characters, like ones that are very minute, even in the story they're in.
They're in one or two scenes. That's it.
And like Aunt Talitha or Moses Carver are those types. And Moses is easily going to probably be mine for that question. I love Moses. I don't know why. I've always loved that character. But I mean, going up against Randall Flagg,
it's just not fair.
It terrified me though, man. Those early days were absolutely
when you were watching the numbers, you're like.
Dude, it got tense there for me as I was watching it.
The walking dude finds a way, apparently.
Yes, indeed. Indeed, which is great. Glad to see Mr. Randall Flagg moving on to the next round here. And then next up we have, and this one was the one that was actually the most tight. I believe this is the last one, right? I should have kept track here.
We should have 2 more.
Oh, maybe we have 2 more. So maybe this one flipped. But ultimately, yesterday I threw out a thing for the last chance for people to vote. And when I did that, this one was actually 50-50, and there was a single vote between them.
It's either John Cullum versus Deda Walker or Cuthbert versus Shimmy.
That's right. So as it went, though, as we got that last wave of voting for those last minute folks, Cuthbert pulled ahead.
Really?
With and this one was 50-50, dude. Shimmy was actually holding his own against.
That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, it did me because Shimmy's great, but dude,
Cuthbert is
one of the most beloved characters.
Yeah.
Man. We have just heard every time people talk about their favorite characters, he's always mentioned, maybe not as like their all-time favorite, but when you ask people, hey, give me your top 3 or 4 favorite characters, I guarantee Cuthbert's in there for most people.
Oh, he is.
So the fact that Shimmy was able to hold his own, now this doesn't reflect here, but like I said, if it wasn't for that last bit, there was literally a singular vote, and actually Shimmy was winning.
Really?
Shimmy had 1 more vote than Cuthbert.
Cuthbert pulled a comeback.
Yes,
in the second half.
In the
last 2 minutes, he came back.
Yes,
and won.
the very, very last minute.
To give you that sports analogy.
Yes,
Go sports.
Yes, Cuthbert ended up because I was shocked, and I threw that last thing out, not necessarily trying to like sway votes. I was just like, hey guys, this is your last day, so if you want to vote, do it now, because otherwise you're not going to get your vote in. And I had no idea how it split, but yeah, Cuthbert got a lion's share of those last minute votes, and it pushed him up to that 63.5 versus 36.5. I don't know how you'd round it when it's at 5. But yes, so that one, and then the last
give it to the lower person, make it less of a dagger.
So then the last one here, and this one ended up at 54% to 46%, so tighter
really close
for the final, yeah. And this one, Deda Walker beat John Cullum.
Wow.
54% to 46%. So
right.
Both Deda and Susanna move on to the round 2.
All right.
So
they could go against each other in the final.
It would have to be in the final, yeah, because they're on the opposite sides there. So that is it. That's the results.
So only 2.
And then some of the insights in terms of what I was seeing as we were actually unfolding, as this week unfolded. And I'll do the same thing on the next video to let people know kind of how it was looking and stuff. But yeah, that's what we got here. So let's go ahead and move on back to the old bracket view, and then look at round 2 here.
Yeah.
So
only 2 of mine were the ones that I did not vote for.
Yeah.
I did not vote for Deda.
Okay.
I love John Cullum.
Okay. And
he's my Moses Carver.
Okay.
So
a
love
lot of people did. Cullum of the lower characters had some of the highest in terms of nominations.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's really popular. But yeah, I think Deda's pretty popular, man.
What about your votes? Did you cast a vote?
Yes, I did. I voted Cuthbert. I voted Flagg. I voted Deda. I voted Oi. I voted Eddie. I almost voted Ted just to spite you.
See, I told you.
Then I voted Jake, and then I voted. I voted all the winners actually.
You voted for Susanna over Susan?
Yeah, I love Susanna, man. I do. I don't know if I loved her as much those early days of reading, but over time, I think she's one I've really come to appreciate a lot more. I think she's a really good character. Okay. So, So this next round. This is a tough one for me.
Start in the left bracket.
Yeah, Cuthbert, all good, versus Randall Flagg.
Ooh.
That is going to be a tough one. And it's funny because there's a lot of people that complained about how tough some of these matchups were in round 1. And everyone I responded the same way. I said, it's only going to get harder. It's only going to get worse. So Cuthbert versus Randall, I mean, that's 2 of the greatest characters in this series.
With how close Cuthbert was with Shimmy, man, I'm not confident. I think Flagg's going to take it.
Yeah, he might, dude. Because, Cuthbert, I thought, and even with the nominations, he had a lot. So I figured he would be a bonesaw in this.
He had the 1 seed.
Yeah,
he had the corner, and yet he struggled in round 1.
Yeah, he did. So that maybe will show up. Maybe some not really an upset for the hero of the story, Randall Flagg, to win.
Not the hero. Stop it. The chink in the armor for Cuthbert.
Yeah. So then next up in the semifinals, whatever you want to call it, is Deda Walker versus Oi the Brave.
It's the second round, not the semifinals. Next round is the semifinals.
Well, that's Final 4, isn't it?
It's the semifinals.
It's Final 4.
It's the semifinals.
Deda, I don't know if she has much of a shot.
She does not.
In my mind.
This might be 100% here.
No, I don't think so. Deda's
over
loved
Oi?
enough. If Irene Tassenbaum got votes, then Deda Walker's going to
true.
get some votes.
You're right. You're right.
And then on this side,
I mentioned it earlier.
Eddie Dean versus Jake Chambers.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That's a tough one, man.
Oh boy.
And then Roland versus Susanna Dean.
We could end up legitimately with a Deda versus Susanna. We could also end up with a Flag versus Roland.
Yeah.
For most beloved.
Go Flag.
We could also end up with a Jake versus Oi.
Yeah.
I should say Oi on the left, Jake on the right, final. And we could also end up with a Cuthbert versus
Eddie,
who are twinners. I am intrigued to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and I didn't really try to fix this bracket in a way that would certain matchups. Literally, all I did is the four corners for the tops, and then I randomized it, and that's it. So I didn't I guess I didn't put enough forethought into it to actually think about what round 2s and 3s might look like. No, I just randomized outside of those four.
Sometimes it's better that way.
Yeah,
then we would have never put Eddie and Jake to be in round 2 and Roland and Susanna to meet in round 2. We would have never done that. We would have taken 2 of them and put them on the other side.
Yeah.
And brought 2 people over from the left side. But I like this because it's not going to be Cothead versus Cothead in the final.
Yeah.
It can't. Well, I mean, Oi is part of the Cothead, but not, the first 4.
Yeah.
This will be the 5th one.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we've got in the final 4. As on the other side of this,
this is the Elite 8, is what it's called.
Yeah, is that what they call it now?
Yeah,
and of course, legally,
we don't own these.
We don't own any of these terms. Apparently, they've copyrighted all of them.
Apparently,
even though they're March Madness, I get. But Final 4, that should not
16.
be. That's aside the point. Let's. I know we are getting a little long here. I know we're podcasters, so we're trying with this YouTube thing. So the next thing I wanted to show was the remainder of the calendar. We crossed off March 1st through 8th for first round. So second round starts now. When this video posts, I will make sure I've posted the post on our website, which is darktowerpalaver.com, which has the link to the ballot for round 2. That will be March 9th. So the rest of today through the 16th. And then we'll have a video on the 17th doing the same thing we're doing here. It'll probably be a little bit shorter as we go because there's less to talk about.
Yep.
And then the final 4 will be March 17th through the 24th. Then on the 25th, we'll have another video like this and set up our finals. And then I guess April 1st will be the day, which is a strange day to do the finalize because it's April Fool's.
You better not pull something on me.
It's a silly place, the internet, on April Fool's, but there's no way to avoid it. So we'll have a YouTube video. Keep an eye out for us on those dates.
Yep.
We'll come back regularly to do these updates. It's funny because at first we kind of overlooked YouTube and we're like, I don't know how we're going to do this. I guess we're just going to have to do it on our episodes. We do our podcast episodes every other week, and then we're like, well, I guess we were trying to figure it out. But then one day it just hit me like a lightning bolt. Wait, we have a YouTube channel. Why don't we just do YouTube videos?
Exactly.
Weekly when these brackets are each round is finalized. So glad we figured out a way to do this because originally we were just going to tack it on to our next book club episode at the very end, and then talk about the final results on the next episode. So glad to do this. So that's what we're looking at. That's your calendar. So as you're watching this video, you can go to the link in the description, click on that, go to the post for round 2, and you'll find the link to the bracket. The ballot. Go vote for round 2, and go ahead and see what you got. Cuthbert versus Randall Flagg, Deda Walker versus Oi the Brave, Eddie Dean versus
Jake
Chambers, Roland Deshane versus Susanna Dean. So that is your matchups. Go ahead and go vote, and check back with us here on the YouTube channel, and we will let you know the results, and we will crown the most beloved to be the antithesis of the most hated, which turned out to be Rhea of the Coos,
who was not the most beloved,
and she won that one in 2019, and it was the finals on that one was versus Cordelia Delgado. So those are our 2 most hated in this. So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. What are your predictions before we sign off here? Predictions for the next round and maybe even for the finals.
Flag goes down.
Flag goes down. You think Cuthbert's taking him down?
Flag goes down in a fiery ball of flame like he did in Vegas.
If it's like the Jericho Hill, I don't think Cuthbert's making it out.
Oh,
too soon.
Too soon.
Any other predictions? What about finals? As things are looking now, any predictions?
I think we might see Jake versus Oi. Dude,
that would be I could see that because like I said, Jake is a very, very beloved character. It'll be interesting to see. This round's going to tell us a lot because this is where you're really getting hard matchups, and you're going to really see some of these characters stomped the previous opponents, and now they're going to go against you. That'll be interesting to see. I think after this one, though, the next video we do, I think we'll have a much clearer idea. Maybe. You never know.
You never know.
We may have a clearer idea of what's going on and maybe who's more of a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And any predictions on do you think any blowouts this next round, or do you think it's actually going to be close?
I think always going to blow out Deda.
Okay. All right. And beyond that, though, you think they're going to be tight?
I think they're all going to be tight.
All right. Cool. So that's it. That's this video. It was a little longer than I wanted it to be ultimately, but hey, there's a lot to talk about.
Yep.
So we'll sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.